Hey, 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 and welcome to this latest episode of Burnoutology the Podcast with me, your host, the Burnoutologist, Kelly Swingler. This week, we are back to the Burnout Truths and working through 200 Burnout Truths to help you coach, live, and lead even better than you are doing already. And today, we are on Burnout Truth number 20. This is about burnout aesthetic. So what this really means, it means looking really put together while silently falling apart. We spot it with perfect outfits, clean captions, but there is this 1,000-yard stare. And it matters because collapse doesn't always look chaotic. Sometimes it looks like you're winning. Collapse doesn't always look chaotic. Sometimes it looks like you're winning. That's what we're going to be talking about with you today. So, Burnoutology, this is my uncut, unedited, unscripted podcast. And this was my permission slip to let go of perfection, right? To let go of perfect editing and perfect lighting and perfect sound and perfect positioning and making sure that everything was perfect because I knew that I wanted to do a podcast. But the thought of making it perfect, making it look good, making it sound good, making sure that I had the right editor, making sure that I had the right jingle and the right sound and the right introduction and all of that stuff was stopping me from doing it. So I kind of just like what if I let go of all of that? What if I just recorded it? And so many episodes of this podcast and my previous one, Frazzled, have just been recorded on my voice notes on my phone. Some of them have been recorded whilst I've been in bed. Some of them have been recorded using my AirPods, some with a little kind of handheld mic, some in different rooms around the house. And I've tried it with video and I've tried it without video. We're back doing it with a little bit of video. Whether this is something that I will stick to or not, I don't know. At the moment, I'm giving myself permission to see how we go with adding the video to the audio so that now you can either watch me and or listen to me every week. Lucky you. But why is all of this stuff so important? Why are we talking about these 200 truths? Well, from my perspective, my first burnout made me really seriously ill. My second burnout nearly killed me. And over the last 12 years now, I've coached over 700 leaders through burnout. I have trained burnout informed coaches, over 150 burnout informed coaches from 14 countries around the world. And I'm just on this mission, right? I want people to get really clear on what burnout is and what burnout isn't. And how burnout is showing up is changing because many of us are living in habitual burnout cycles. Many of us are just, kind of keep circling. And as I said, these kind of 200 truths, I really just got sick and tired of seeing coaches over and over again just keep talking about time management techniques that are not going to be any good for burnout whatsoever. So these 200 truths, I suppose, bring us back to challenging some of the myths, some of the things that we see, that I see with burnout every single day, showing up on my social media feed, showing up on my kind of Google alerts, what's in the news in terms of what people are talking about with burnout. And just trying to break some of these myths, really show what burnout is and what it isn't and how it might be showing up for people. So these 200 truths, as I said, today we are talking about number 20, burnout aesthetic. Burnout aesthetic. So let's do a quick recap because I've been babbling on already for far too long, haven't I? Before we've even got into the content of what we're talking about today. So let's do a quick recap. Burnout aesthetic, what does it mean? It means looking really put together while silently falling apart. How we spot it is perfect outfits, clean captions, 1,000-yard stare. And it matters because collapse doesn't always look chaotic. Sometimes it looks like you're winning. And I suppose with many of these truths that we've done so far, right, I talk very much about my own personal experience, what burnout was like for me. And I suppose this burnout aesthetic, looking put together while silently falling apart, was absolutely me. My first burnout in 2013, I was an HR director. I had my seat on the board, organisation in London, 4,000 employees. I was 32. I had been appointed, according to the CIPD, as the UK's youngest HR director in an organisation that size. And I looked polished, right? Every single day, I looked polished. My hair was like, you wouldn't find one hair out of place. Now, at the time, my hair was really dark. I had started as the joys of many people in my family, but I kind of had started to go grey around kind of 20, kind of 27, 28, as with all of my family, apart from my sister. But all of my family have experienced that. Many of my cousins. My hair used to be really, really dark, almost kind of black, if you can imagine that. But my hair was almost black, and it would grow really, really quickly. So I was literally having to kind of colour it at least every 2 weeks. And if I didn't, I'd kind of get this like train track of like grey roots that would come through. They'd be like perfectly lined up. This kind of perfect straight line, kind of maybe a centimetre either side of my parting. And so in between that, I was using, there were sprays that you could get, kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like dry shampoo sprays that you could get with colour on them. They'd only just started to kind of bring out some of the powders that you could get to kind of colour, but you wouldn't notice at all that I had any greys coming through. Like my hair was styled and perfected in a way that would stop all of that coming. I think 2000 and I know how old I was, maybe 35, 34, 35 when I stopped dyeing it completely and just embraced the white that you'll see in front of you and all over my pictures today. But like I didn't have one hair out of place. My makeup was spot on every single day. My suits fitted to perfection. My bag, like perfectly polished shoes. My bags were kind of polished as much as I could get them, so that they weren't dull. They had a beautiful shine on them. My coats, like in terms of pilling and like lint. I mean, sometimes I look at myself now and I think, God, I've had like a hair on my shoulder throughout the whole of that video. Where I had a bit of lipstick on my tongue. I'm like, do you know what? Just go with it. You wouldn't have seen that at all. Every single thing was perfect, was polished. I looked completely and utterly put together. Now, at the time, I was having some of my suits were kind of custom made. All of them were then kind of tailored so that they fit perfectly. Anytime I bought, if I bought a suit, it was going and being adjusted so it fit me absolutely perfectly on the shoulders, around the waist, around the bust. All of my skirts were like just the perfect length in terms of my legs. I could run across King's Cross platform in 6-inch heels, because I had been able to kind of perfect how to do that. And it was only really in the last maybe 2 or 3 months before my final kind of burnout crash, the big crash that really took hold, that I started to wear flats. And only because I was so exhausted, and walking in heels had felt like it was taking effort. And I'd been kind of doing this daily commute to London for a good couple of years. And as I said, I could run across tube stations and roads and all sorts in, kind of 3, 4, or even 6-inch heels. But in the last couple of months before my burnout, I was wearing flats to the station, taking my heels in my bag, but very often my heels didn't even come out of the bag. I ended up, when I eventually left, I left with like a bottom drawer of my filing cabinet with all of my heels in. Because I just kept taking all of these different shoes, but staying in my flats all day because I just needed to be comfy. I needed to be able to move quickly. I needed to, I don't know, maybe just like walk a different way. Maybe literally shrinking. Like I'm 5'2.5". The half is very important, but I'm 5'2.5". And there had been something about wearing my heels and standing taller, the way in which I was able to carry myself, and I still do now. For any of you that wear heels, that may kind of relate to that, but I do carry myself very differently when I've got heels on. I walk taller, my shoulders are back more. There is something in the whole of my posture and positioning when I'm wearing heels that is just very, very different. And there was something when I started to put my flats on that I did actually it didn't just kind of shrink in terms of stature, but also kind of shrunk in terms of the way in which my energy would walk into a room, the way in which my authority would walk into the room. Those sorts of things began to shrink as well. But this burnout aesthetic, I did look completely put together. I looked perfect. I looked polished. Every single thing was in place. I was very considered in terms of how I spoke. how I designed and kind of put together like my notebooks, my like every single thing, from the setup of my laptop to what was in my bag, to how my purse was arranged, to how I would present myself, to how I would show up, to how I would get ready in the mornings and plan my day. Every single thing would fit into this burnout aesthetic that I've just mentioned, right? It was looking put together while silently falling apart. Now, at the time, I didn't know I was silently falling apart. And this is the thing with burnout, particularly for those of us that get there for the first time. We don't really know it's burnout until we've started to come through the other side of it. And then we think, oh my, like, what was that? Because when we're in it, we don't realize that we're in it. We know something isn't right. We know something needs to change. We know we have this feeling of just keeping going, like it not feeling safe for us to stop, it not feeling safe for us to slow down. We just think we've got to keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going. Our family, our friends, our colleagues, our team members, people around us can see that something is happening. People around us can see that we need to take a break and we need to switch off, but we can't see it in ourselves. And so we just keep on going, we keep on pushing, we keep on working harder. And there is neuroscience behind that. Again, I teach everybody that in the Burnout Informed Coach training and with the Master Burnout Coach training, right? I go through the neuroscience of why it does not feel safe for us to stop. There is actual neuroscience behind that, why we keep on going, why we keep pushing harder, why why it's not safe for us to stop, right? So I understand all of that now, but I didn't then. I just thought I just needed to keep on going because that's what my whole brain and body were telling me that I needed to do. So it's very rare for those of us that experience that first burnout to know that it's burnout until we've come through the other side. But again, burnout informed coaches are able to spot it before it even gets to that point, right? They can stop and help people before it gets to that point. They can help with recovery before it even gets to that point. But there is something with many of us because we know that something isn't right. But there's also that feeling of what if I get caught out, right? People are going to find me out to be a fraud, right? People are going to realize that I shouldn't be in this job. I shouldn't be doing this job. I'm not good enough. Any minute now, I'm going to get found out as the fraud. And so you want to then look the part even better. And the amount of, and I've kind of put in the intro here at how to spot it, perfect outfits and clean captions. I'm seeing a lot of coaches at the moment, a lot of consultants at the moment that are presenting to the outside world that everything is absolutely fine, right? All of their social media feeds are polished and put together. They're pristine, they're shiny, they're showing up every single day, they're doing their performance, they're, creating the reels, they're doing the videos, they're showing up with, the perfect pictures, everything looks perfect. But there is an undertone, right? There's an undertone. And again, maybe I can spot it because I've been doing this for 12 years, but I'm kind of, that doesn't like something doesn't quite feel right. And then a few months later, once they've kind of disappeared from socials and I was at burnout, I didn't realize it. These are the things that I needed to change. But everything looks perfect. Everything looks polished. Again, what I'm seeing with lots of coaches then that are going for this burnout aesthetic, right? Trying to show the world this polished picture, disappearing for a couple of months because they've had the crash. And then they're coming back out into the world and then trying to educate people on burnout and tell people what burnout is. They want to stop people getting to that point of burnout. Now, some of those people, absolutely brilliant in terms of what they're doing, but some are just doing it with the best of intentions. And some are thinking, well, I now know how to cure burnout. Now, if it was true burnout can take years for us to recover from. And I mentioned this in an episode quite a few episodes back, right, when we were kind of going through the first of our Burnout Truths, that actually sometimes when we are unhealed, unrecovered, but we think we've just come through the other side of burnout, so we don't fully understand what burnout is. We don't understand the long-term impact of burnout on the brain or the body or on our clarity or decision making or confidence. We automatically go straight into, okay, yeah, that was burnout. I've now been in it. I've now come through it. And now I feel equipped to tell everybody else what to do. So here's my 3 tips, 5 tips, 10 tips on how you can stop getting to burnout. But what's missing is their understanding of burnout, their understanding of what burnout actually is. The true understanding of what burnout does to the brain and the body, the true understanding of the neuroscience behind it, the true understanding of what it does to our confidence and our clarity and our decision making, why it feels impossible to set boundaries when we're at burnout. All of that bit's kind of missing. So lots of people that kind of, look polished, have the crash, come out the other side, or they think they've come out the other side, but actually there's likely a really, really long road of recovery ahead of them. but they think they've come out the other side. Then they want to, they start talking about burnout 'cause it's a bit of a buzzword, isn't it? So I can do an article about it. I can do a talk about it. I might do a podcast interview about it to say, I reached burnout. I've now come through it. This is what you need to be doing. And then 6 months, 9 months or 12 months later, they have an even bigger crash and realize that all of the stuff that they've been telling other people wasn't actually helpful at all. They weren't fully recovered in the first place, but they assumed that they were because they'd started to come through the other side. They assumed that they were ready to start teaching everybody else what to do to avoid it. And it was making them some money and it was getting them some good exposure. So they carried on, but it wasn't actually helping anybody. It wasn't helping them because they were then trying to kind of force recovery. And they were trying to recover in the spotlight with even more of these burnout aesthetics, right? This is what you do to stop burnout. Here's my five tips. Here's the, beautiful captions. Here's the beautiful reel. Here's me, being video, doing my journaling, doing my meditation, doing my yoga. Here's me out having a walk. Here's me enjoying a cup of tea. Here's me in bed, right? Here's me with a towel on my head, showing you that, I do chill out and I do all this stuff. But actually, a lot of this stuff is it just becomes performance. It's like performance recovery. And whilst all of that's happening, there's no recovery actually taking place. And then what becomes even harder for lots of people then that are at burnout, that are seeing all of this, I reached burnout a month ago and now I'm feeling better, right? Because now my captions are perfect. Now my Instagram reels look amazing and polished. And for people that aren't recovering in private, for people that aren't recovering to make money, for people that aren't trying to push even harder and do that stuff, there must be even more wrong with me then, because I've tried those things and it's not working. And the reason it's not working is because those things were never going to work with burnout. Never. We need to understand what burnout is. We need to understand what burnout isn't. We need to understand that burnout recovery is an individual thing. There is no one size fits all. And again, everything that I teach in the Burnout Informed Coach, in the Master Burnout Coach training, is about the fact that there is no one size fits all. I give, a plethora of tools and techniques and things to look out for, different ways for coaches to be able to help their clients, different techniques to allow clients to come out of their heads and into their bodies more. I give a suite of tools, a set of tools, because there is no one size fits all to burnout. Not to burnout prevention and not to burnout recovery. And again, the reason that I say that is because for each of us, we will have reached burnout. Whilst again, yes, there are, some commonalities. I talk a lot again about the burnout equation, right? Toxicity minus sense of self equals burnout. Toxicity minus sense of self equals burnout. But that toxicity will be individual for each of us. That loss of sense of self will be different and individual for each of us. And therefore the rebuilding, the recovery, the understanding, all of that needs to be individual for all of us. We can look polished, we can look the part, we can look like we are perfect whilst, what did I say here? While silently falling apart inside. And that is really a real telltale sign of burnout, because we don't know that we're in it until we start to come through it. But we can still prevent it. I know that we can prevent it when we know what we're looking for. But it doesn't always look like exhaustion. It doesn't always look like tiredness. It doesn't always look like you're not coping. What was the final line that I put here, right? Collapse doesn't always look chaotic. Sometimes it looks like you're winning. Very often, burnout looks like you're winning. It looks like you're the high performer. It looks like you're the one that could just keep on pushing and keep on trying and keep on going. It looks like you're the one that's the most amazing person on the planet, right? You can just keep on going, keep on driving, keep on striving, keep showing up, keep on taking stuff off everybody else. You look amazing, you sound amazing, everybody thinks that you're amazing, but there is something inside of you. It will feel like a fear, right? A fear of, I'm going to get caught out any minute now. People are going to know that I'm a fraud. It will not feel safe for you to stop. And I talk about two things. I don't say these lightly. I'm going to very, very quickly touch on them because I'm conscious of time for this episode. But two real kind of telltale signs that burnout is literally about to knock on the door, I don't use these words lightly, are your addiction to the busyness, the addiction to the work. Now, when I say addiction, again, I'm not using that word lightly. I mean addiction. The work, the busyness, the pushing, it becomes all consuming. It's the first thing you think about in the morning, the last thing you think about at night. You might be hiding your laptop, right? Oh, I've just got to pop to the shop so that you can check your emails in the car. I'm just going to go and have a bath so that you can check your emails in the bath. just I'll take the dog for a walk just so you can get out of the house and check your emails with nobody watching you because everybody's already said you're working too hard. So you start hiding things. You become quite secretive. It becomes all consuming. So addiction to work is one telltale sign that you're getting really, really close to burnout. The second then is withdrawal. And that is withdrawal from life. Again, I don't use these words lightly, but this is actually what's happening. You are withdrawing from your relationships, your hobbies, your people, people in your life. You're withdrawing from yourself. You're withdrawing from engaging with people because all you're doing is just working, 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 working 24/7. It's all you can think about. And so you start to withdraw from life. So if you want to spot, there are lots and lots of signs and symptoms, but two of the biggest that literally burnout is like a step away: addiction to the work and the busyness, and withdrawal from life. Now, again, I'm going to very quickly caveat here. You do not need to be employed. You do not need to be working in order for burnout to take hold. There's lots and lots of different types of burnout, which is why my burnout equation, toxicity minus sense of self equals burnout, encapsulates all. This has been this week's episode. This has been Burnout Aesthetic. Let me do a quick recap for you again of what this is in talk about. So Burnout Aesthetic, what it really means is looking put together while silently falling apart. How to spot it. It's the perfect outfits, the clean captions, and the 1,000-yard stare. And why it matters is because collapse doesn't always look chaotic. Sometimes it looks like you're winning. I'd probably change that again. More often than not, it will look like you are winning. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you for joining me again for this episode of Burnoutology. If you know somebody else that might find this useful, please give it a like, give it a share, give it a comment, pass it on to somebody else that you think may be able to benefit from this. Let's continue to really grow the audience for this year. Thank you to all of you that continue to kind of drop me emails and comments about what you've gained from the episodes. It's always wonderful. If you do not know how burnout aware you are and you would like to find out, head to kellyswingler.com. Go to Start Here and complete the How Burnout Aware Are You quiz. Find out how you are. Find out how burnout aware you are. And if you would like to stay in touch, then you can stay on the mailing list. I send emails to my subscribers weekdays, Monday to Friday, purely for the fact that social media continues to limit everything that we're talking about in terms of burnout. Burnout is not a word that it is making active and visible out there. So my mailing list is where most of my nuggets of information now are. And my subscribers get emails from me Monday to Friday, including every single Tuesday at 7 a.m. The link to this podcast. So if you want to be first in the know, or you can subscribe and get it straight to your inbox anyway. But if you want to be part of that, complete the quiz and you can stay part of that. But new episodes every single Tuesday, 7 a.m. I'm going to say thank you very much again for joining me. It's been a pleasure to share this space with you again today. I'll be back with you again next week. But for now, go and have an amazing week. Take care, and I will see you again soon. Take care for now. Bye-bye.